Good morning all. If I am audible to you all, please comment in chat box that I am audible to all. Tell your friends to join so that we can start our class faster. So I given homework, right? How many people have done the homework? So you have solved those 3 chapters or not? So can we discuss module now? Can we discuss exercises? Tell me. So first chapter which we'll discuss today is solutions. So what are the doubts in solution chapter? Tell me what the doubts you have. Any doubts? Have you solved this exercise or not? Question number 7 and 11. A 5 molar solution of H2SO4, question number 7. A 5 molar H2SO4 solution is diluted from 1 liter to 10 liter. 1 liter to 10 liter. The normality of this solution is, so normality equals to gram equivalent divided by volume in liters. So how much gram equivalent? Gram equivalent equals to what? Moles into n factor divided by volume in liter. So how do I find moles? Moles equals to molarity into volume. Molarity is 5. Volume is in 1 liter, so value is 5. So we get 5 moles into n factor of H2SO4 is 2 by 10 liters. So 10 by 10, 1 normal. 1 normal. Then question number 11. The mole fraction of NaCl in a solution containing 1 mole of NaCl in 1000 grams. So question number 11. Mole fraction of NaCl containing 1 mole of NaCl by 1000 by 18. So we get 1 by 1 plus 55.55 or 1 by 56.55. We'll get 0.0017. Then we have question number 35. Okay. Question number 35. 35 says that the normality of 10% acetic acid is 10% weight by volume. What this means? This means is 10 gram of acetic acid is present in 100 ml. Is present in 100 ml. So what they are asking you to find out? Normality. Normality equal to same formula. Normality equals to same formula. Gram equivalent by volume equals to moles into N factor by volume into liter. So I'll write here as moles into N factor divided by volume in liter. So moles 10 gram by acetic acid. So acetic acid is CH3COOH. I already calculated it. I have already calculated its mass comes as 60. But if you want me to solve, I will solve again. Okay. So 12 plus 3 plus 12 plus 32 plus 1. Okay. So 12, 12, 24. 24 plus 4. 28. 28 plus 32. 60. So 10 by 60. This is moles. N factor of acetic acid is 1 into volume is 100 ml into 1000. So 0, 0, 0, 30, 30 gets cancelled. So we get 10 by 6 or 1.7 normal. So this is question number 35. Then question number 1 also. Okay. Question number 1. To neutralize 20 ml of N by 10 M by 10 NaOH, the volume of M by 20 HCl. So here we will do. I taught you equivalence concept. Gram equivalent of NaOH must be equals to gram equivalent of HCl. Now gram equivalent equals to moles into N factor, molarity volume into N factor. So here what I can write? 1 by 10 into 20 into 1 equals to volume I don't know. 1 by 20 into 1. So volume comes as this goes there. So 400 by 10 or 40 ml. This is question number 1. Then 3 question numbers. The normality of 0.3. So normality equals to molarity into N factor. Normality equals to molarity into N factor. So molarity is 0.3. Now phosphorus acid H3PO3. The N factor of H3PO3 is 2. So 0.6 normal. This is question number 3. Then question number 30. Question number 30. We'll see question number 30 now. What is the molarity of H2SO4 that has a density of 1.84 gram per cubic centimeter at 35 degrees Celsius, contains 98% by weight? Okay. So where I can solve here? One's full board. Full board. Done. Okay, so now we'll solve question number 30. This one. Okay, question number 30 is saying that you need to find molarity. What data is given? 1.84 gram per cubic centimeter and 98% W by W. Okay, so I try to read this line first. This line means 98 gram of which compound? H2SO4 is present in 100 gram of solution. Okay, so now molarity equals to what? Molarity equals to moles by volume. You get mass, this is density, so I can get the volume. If you remember, density equals to mass by volume, so volume equals to mass by density. So volume equals to 100 by 1.84. The answer will come in ml. I know the volume, I also need moles. So given mass by molar mass of H2SO4, which is 98. So 1 mole. Now I write 1 by 100 into 1.84 into 1000. So 2020 gets cancelled. We get 18.4 molar. This is question number 30. Then 34. 100 gram of aqueous solution of CaCO3 contains 10 gram of calcium carbonate. The concentration of solution. So they are doing in ppm. ppm is parts per million. So here I write 10 gram. Here I write 1000 gram into 10 power 6. So this is 10 power 7 minus 3. So 10 power 4 ppm, or likely we like to say 10,000 ppm. 34 done. 40. Question number 40 now. Question number 40. The osmotic pressure of equimolar solution of urea. Here only we will do. That is easy question. Sam?
Let 60 seconds.
Okay. So osmotic pressure of equimolar solution of urea, BaCl2 and AlCl3. So osmotic pressure, I told you formula pi equals to ICRT. C is same because they are saying equimolar concentration. R same, T same, everything same. It all depends on I. It all depends on I. Whoever is having more I, it has more osmotic pressure. So I is for maximum for AlCl3. How much I? 4. For BaCl2, 3. For urea, 1. So answer is AlCl3 is greater than BaCl2 is greater than urea. That is question number 40. Then we'll have 46. Question number 46. How many gram of HCl present in 150 ml of, that is easy. So we'll find gram equivalent. Gram equivalent means what? 150 into 1 by 20 divided by 1000. So when you solve this, 0 0 will get cancelled. 15 by 2000. This is gram equivalent. Then you will find, instead of gram equivalent, moles into n factor equals to 15 by 2000. Okay. And then n factor of HCl is 1. So moles equals to 15 by 2000. But they are asking mass of HCl. So this is 36.5. 15 by 2000. So W equals to 15 into 36.5 by 2000. This will come somewhere as 0.274 grams. So this is question number 46. Question number 30 I already solved here. 30 is here. Then question number 19 also, right? 19 I haven't solved. Which pair shows contraction in volume? All mixing. So question number 19 means if you have negative deviation, non-ideal solution. If you have negative deviation, non-ideal solution, their delta V mixture is less than 0. This means volume contraction. This means volume contraction. Now H2 and HNO3 I gave in the example. So all are there. You have CHCl3 plus C6H6. You have to memorize all this. H2O plus HCl. Third one is H2O plus HNO3. 19 done. Question number 30 I have already taught. 34 is here. Question number 40. I have done 40, I think so. 40 is here. Question number 4. The maximum amount of BaSO4 precipitated on mixing. On mixing, where should I start? Here. Which question you are saying? Question number 4. The maximum amount of BaSO4 precipitated on mixing 20 ml of 0.5 mol of BaCl2. So we will write a reaction. BaCl2 plus H2SO4 gives rise to BaSO4 plus HCl 2 moles. And the reaction balance? Yes, reaction is balanced. So they are saying is this is 20 into 0.5. This is 20 into 1. So this gets you 10. That gets you 20 millimoles. So limiting reagent is this only. So we'll get 10 moles, 10 millimoles here. Or 10 by 1000, so 0.01 moles. Question number 4 also done. 36 and 49. 49 I've solved, I think so. 49 also are not solved. And 36. Okay, so question number 36 now. The molar freezing constant of water is this. 342 gram of cane sugar is dissolved in 1000 gram of water will freeze it. So first you need to find delta TF. I dot Kf dot m. Sugar, so it is 1. Kf is given 1.86 into molarity. Molarity is 342 by 342 into 1000 into 1000. 111. So 1.86 delta TF. Then I told you TF1 minus TF2 equals to 1.86. You want to find TF2. TF1 is 0. So this goes there, this comes here. 0 minus 1.86. So TF2 comes as minus 1.86 degree Celsius. Question number 49 also. When a 2 gram of solute is dissolved in 50 gram of water, then measured boiling point is this. If Kb is this, find out the molecular. So we'll do delta Tb equals to IKb dot M. Now, measured boiling point is 100.5. So how much Tb? 100.5 minus 100 equals to. Solute they are not mentioning, so its want of factor is 1 into Kb is 0.5 into M. How much gram is dissolved? 2 by mw into 50 into 1000. So here you get 0.5 equals to 0.5 into 2 into 1000 by mw into 50. So 0.5 gets cancelled. Mw equals to 2000 by 50. 0 gets cancelled. 200 by 5, that is 40 gram per mole. Okay. Any other doubt? Chapter over? Any doubt in solution chapter? If no, comment. Any doubt? Tell me if all done, so we can move on to next chapter or not. All doubt finished? Okay, so the next chapter we'll have is, have you solved hydrogen and its compound and S block? Have you solved or not? If not, then I'll start teaching. Ask me doubts. Any doubts in hydrogen and its compound? Any doubts in hydrogen and its compound? Any doubts in hydrogen and its compound? Question number 13. The correct order of occlusion property is, so occlusion property is a tendency of hydrogen gas to go inside. Okay, so in solid it has a less tendency, but in liquid solution it has more tendency to do. So colloidal solution will be most of the liquid solution. So colloidal is greater than palladium, platinum and gold and then nickel. When the size decreases, in decreasing size, the tendency of hydrogen atom to go inside is less. Okay, that's all. Doubts in S block? Question number 15. Which of the following process will produce hard water? If you dissolve sulfate, it is known as hard water. So calcium sulfate. Question number 7. Water softening by Clark's process uses sodium hydroxide or calcium hydroxide. What else? We have to read this in theory. These all 3 points are given in theory. Which else? Tell me. Okay, done. S block. S block elements. Any doubt in S block? Any doubts in S block? Done. Question number 27. A piece of magnesium ribbon was heated to redness in atmosphere of nitrogen and cooling. This is question number 27. Magnesium in an atmosphere of nitrogen, it forms Mg3N2. Okay. And on cooling, water was added, H2O. If you add, it will form MgOH twice plus NH3. 3Mg2OH, 2NH3. So the gas evolved is ammonia. Okay, done? Okay, good job. Those people who are not solving, try to solve them. Okay. Now we are going to start our new chapter. That chapter name is electrochemistry. What's the next chapter name? Electrochemistry. Right? Okay. So now listen up. Okay. So there are two parts of electrochemistry. One is known as electrochemical cell, another is known as electrolytic cell. In electrochemical cell, a chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. In electrolytic cell, electric energy is converted into a chemical energy. Example could be an electrolysis. Example could be here as Daniell cell. Okay. So if they says question in an electrolysis of this compound, it means whatever formula I'm going to write here, those are applicable here. If they say in a concentration cell, Daniel cell or concentration cell, and they are asking potential difference to find out, then they are talking about electrochemical cell. Okay, now, so first we'll do this type, then we'll do that type. Okay, concentration cell. Now what happens is, you will have cathode, anode, salt bridge, connecting valve, so that I can measure electricity. Now, before you go to inside in this chapter, one point is there which is applicable to both. Electrochemistry works on the principle of redox reaction. Electrochemistry works on the principle of redox reaction. It means all those things which I taught you in redox reaction is coming here now, because electrochemistry works on the principle of redox reaction. Okay, now so then now what we'll do is, let's take a cell. Okay, any cell. Generally a cell is plotted by a beaker. In this case we keep one rod or a plate. This could be a rod or simple plate surface. There will be a wire connected here with this rod. Okay, and it will be filled via solution. So there will be a solution. Okay, so now what I call this as, this is known as electrode. Then electrode is of two types. What are those? It could be cathode or it could be anode. Understand? This is known as electrolytic solution. Okay. Then what happens is, when you measure a potential difference, okay, it means the potential difference between this plate and the adjacent, this much, is known as potential difference. Potential difference. These potential difference is also of two types: oxidation potential or reduction potential. Up to here, any doubt? Anyone? Tell me. Up to here, any doubt? Anyone? Tell. Any doubt? Anyone? No doubts, right? Okay, so now. So when I written oxidation potential and its reduction potential, no, this side, okay. oxidation potential and reduction potential depends on the type of reaction. Okay, let's take something like this. If there is a M which converts into Mn plus an electron, is this oxidation or reduction reaction? Tell me. All 30 people comment. Is it oxidation or reduction? Is it oxidation or reduction? So that is oxidation. Okay. So now, if this is oxidation, I'm going to denote this oxidation potential by E naught. Okay. E is oxidation potential, but if you write not on this, it will become standard potential. But now it is an oxidation, so I can write M converting into Mn plus. Okay. Then I get another reaction. Mn plus n electron gives rise to M. Now this is which reaction? This is a reduction. So this is an oxidation. And this is a reduction. Here I should be able to write E naught of Mn plus converting into Mn. M is converting into Mn plus is converting into M. That is this. Right? This is known as SOP, standard oxidation potential. This is known as SRP, standard reduction potential. Right? Now, but these two reactions are same only. What is difference is the direction. It means their values will also be same in magnitude, but reverse in sign. So what I write now, SOP is minus of SRP, or E naught of Mn plus is equals to minus E naught of Mn plus to M. Because the reaction is same one, it's simply the direction is different. So I can convert any SOP, any SRP to SOP, or I can convert any SOP to SRP. Okay, but we follow SRP only. It means if you look in NCERT or if you look in any problems, we follow SRP value. We follow SRP value, which means standard reduction potential. Most of the time we'll write a reduction side, decreasing in the oxidation number is the SRP. Now what happens? I have so many values of SRP because this M could be any metal. As you can have various metals, so for various metal you will have different value of SRP. As you have many value of SRP, so you can compare some values. Some will be low, some will be high. So when you have lower values and higher values, then what happens is, here we write, okay, on arranging elements in increasing order of their SRP, we get SRP, we get reactivity series. It has another name, electrochemical series. Okay, if you arrange the elements in increasing order of their SRP. It means first we'll write minimum. Minimum it could be negative. Then negatives will very less. Then somewhere it will come 0. Then positive value more and more positive. That is for increasing order. So now I'm going to draw that reactivity series. And you people have to memorize it. Because with this only you can decide which element will behave as cathode, which element will behave as anode. So the reactivity series goes like this. First lithium, potassium, barium, strontium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, manganese, zinc, iron, chromium, cadmium, cobalt, nickel, tin, lead, hydrogen gas, copper, iodine, mercury, silver, bromine, platinum, chlorine, gold, fluorine. This iron comes below zinc. This I2 comes below copper. So they are arranged in like this. Complete one. This is minus 2.32 volts. Hydrogen is 0. F2 comes somewhere as plus 3.21 volt. Copy this. Vishal, this is 12th class topic. It will take some time. This copied. This is important. Jump.
This one.
Copied? All people? Okay. Then, okay, now we come to this side. Okay. Jump. In electrochemical series, this ECS stands for in electrochemical series. Whichever is coming down or whose SRP is more undergoes reduction. That means it behaves as cathode, because reduction always takes place on cathode. This is first point. Second point is whichever is coming above or whose SRP is less undergoes oxidation. It behaves as anode. It behaves as anode because oxidation always occurs at anode. Now one more interesting point is here, if you are able to understand. If it undergoes oxidation, it means it itself is undergoing oxidation, and it means it will reduce others. So if it undergoes oxidation, it can also behave as reducing agent. Correct or not? What is the definition of reducing agent? Those species which undergoes oxidation or those species which reduces others itself gets oxidized. So those species which undergoes oxidation reduces others. So reducing agent. It means whichever is coming above are good reducing agent. Whichever is down are good oxidizing agent. Copied. Done. So now, see, this is. Now you see, if you remember the topic, you can understand here. This is minus 2.32, this is plus 3.2. This is lesser SRP, this is more SRP. If this is lesser SRP, it is coming above. It means it wants to undergoes. It wants to undergoes oxidation. If it wants to undergo, it's a good reducing agent, and this is a strong oxidizing agent because this wants to behave as cathode, this wants to behave as anode. Okay, done now. So now we do the EMF. EMF is known as electromotive force. Electromotive force. Okay, this is denoted by E0 shell. This is denoted by E0 shell. And how does it represent? Whenever you want to buy a shell for your wall clock, okay, so at the back side you will say 1.5 volts, right? That magnitude of this value 1.5 is known as E0 shell. Okay, its units are volts. That wall clock cell is an electrochemical cell because in that cell you have some chemicals, and when you put that cell in a clock, then the clock will start running. It means the chemical energy stored in electrochemical cell is converting into electrical energy. That is the first definition for electrochemical cell. Okay, so E0 cell. Now it has its standard formula. E0 cell equals to E0 of cathode minus E0 of anode. This formula you can use when both are in SRP. Okay. Then next formula is E0 of cathode minus E0 of, not E0 plus, E0 of anode is equals to E0 cell. This formula you can use when this is SRP, but this is SOP. Then you can use this formula, but we'll use always this formula because I already told you we'll follow SRP. So both are in SRP, we'll follow this particular formula. Okay? Done now? Okay. That's it, copied, right? Now, once you write this, then one more concept is there, which is known as here, which is known as Nast equation, which is known as Nast equation. NAR-NST. Now, Nast equation does what? It relates E cell. Now, E cell means what? E cell means this is electromotive force, but at any condition. This is electromotive force at standard state. So it relates like this. E cell equals to E naught cell minus 0.0591. E cell equals to E naught cell minus 0.0591 by n log of product by reactant. Understood? So E cell equals to E naught cell minus 0.0591 by n log product by reactant. Understood? Okay. Done now? Copied all this? Whoever is saying video is stuck or video lagging, please check your internet connection, okay? You should be having good internet. That's why all online classes will work. Okay, so the door is open. Okay, so now we are going to talk about, so all things I have told you, now we are going to talk about a Daniell shell. Daniell shell is made up of zinc and copper. Zinc and copper. The Daniell shell is made up of zinc and copper. Now you tell me, out of zinc and copper, this and this. Out of zinc and copper, by looking at this table, which will behave as cathode, which will behave as anode, which will behave as cathode, which will behave as anode. Tell me. Beneath, you need to tell both anode and cathode, both. Okay, so if you look at this too, you see I have not given you values. I have not given you values, but still you can answer that. Where is zinc? Zinc is here. Where is copper? Copper is here. Means if you arrange all this, Zn will come here, copper will come down. Whichever is coming above becomes anode. Whichever is coming below becomes cathode. Understood now? It means what? Zn is anode, copper is cathode. This is with the help of electrochemical series if you memorize this. But if you have not, then you need some values, okay? Zn, E naught of Zn 2 plus 2 Zn. E naught of Zn 2 plus 2 Zn is minus 0.77 volts. E naught of Cu 2 plus 2 Cu, it is 0.33 volts. Understood now? So if you compare these two, this is more whoever has more SRP becomes cathode, whoever has less SRP becomes anode. They are also saying the same points. Now we will draw the diagram. This side will always draw an anode compartment, that side will draw a cathode compartment, because with the cell diagram I am also able to write a cell equation. Okay, so I will dip an anode, I will dip a cathode also. Now cathode is made up of copper tube or copper rod. Here anode is made up of zinc tube or zinc rod. Then they are going to connect. But to connect them, I am going to put in a voltmeter. That voltmeter, why I need? Because I want to measure how much electricity I can generate. Okay? Then next thing is, that is going to dip in a electrolytic solution. This is also going to dip in an electrolytic solution. Now as these two are different electrodes, so their solution will also be different. What is the solution here? This solution must have this component. That means it should have Zn2+. Zn2+ you can get from any compound such as ZnCl2, ZnF2, ZnSO4. You can take anything. So Zn2+, I am taking SO4 2-. This is copper, so you should have copper 2+ here. Copper 2+ you can take with copper sulfate also. Okay. Now if we look at this diagram I have made, but it is not closed. I am having this, but this is opening here. They are not connected. So right now current will not flow. So what you need to do, I am going to put a salt bridge. This is known as salt bridge. Okay. Now this does the purpose. As soon as you keep a salt bridge, it is going to connect both the chamber. Now the circuit is closed, so current will start flowing and the voltmeter will start giving you reading. Now the question they will ask, what is E0 cell? What is E0 cell? What is E cell when you change the concentration? Now this is known as salt bridge. It is made up of a salt KNO3, KCl, KBr, anything. Okay. It does 2-3 purpose. It closes the circuit, it connects the circuit. Second, it maintains the electrical neutrality in both the chamber. Third, it decreases the potential difference between cathode and anode. Okay. Now, once this is a proper cell diagram, now this is cell diagram. Okay. This is cell diagram. Now I am going to write a cell equation. Cell equation is different, cell reaction is different. Okay. Cell equation is different, cell reaction is different. So how do I write cell equation? First we draw salt bridge. All electrochemical cell will have salt bridge. Okay. Then we draw one line here, one line here. This is for anode. That's why I have drawn anode here. So that whatever I am writing here, I am writing here. And this is for cathode. Now, here what do I write? I write whatever is getting converted. At anode, what is happening? So now I am going to write cell reaction. While I am writing cell reaction, so there are two places reaction is happening. One place here, one place there. What is this place? At anode. So you remember that at anode, oxidation takes place. At anode, oxidation takes place. Now oxidation of what? Zinc. So if zinc undergoes oxidation, it will give you Zn2 plus 2 electron. And then next one what? At cathode. Now cathode is copper, and the copper will undergo reduction, but copper can't reduce. This has to reduce. So the copper reduction will be Cu2 plus 2 electron gives rise to Cu. Now this works on the principle of redox reaction. So in the redox reaction I have also taught you that electron loss must be equals to electron gain. Both must be equal. Right now they are equal. If they are not equal, you will multiply by a suitable value so that they will become equal. Right now they are equal, so when I add them, they will get cancel. What will I write here? I write here as Zn plus Cu2 plus I will write it as Zn plus Cu2 plus gives rise to Zn2 plus Cu. Okay, the important thing here is this is solid. Whichever, the trick here is whichever doesn't get charge are solid. Whichever doesn't get charge are solid. So this is cell reaction. Okay. Now I want to write cell equation. So at anode, Zn is converting into Zn2 plus. So I write Zn solid converting into Zn2 plus aqueous. What is happening at cathode? Cu2 plus converting into Cu. So Cu2 plus aqueous converting into Cu solid. This is cell equation. This is cell reaction. All copied? Yes or no? Tell. Okay. Now some from here to there. Okay. This one. Now I want to find each E naught cell. Okay. This is called standard EMF. This means what? E naught of cathode minus E naught of anode. E naught of cathode is which one? Cathode was copper, so I am going to write Cu2 plus 2 Cu0 minus E naught Zn2 plus 2 Zn. I'll put the values 0.33 minus of minus 0.77. So 0.33 plus 0.77 and you add, you get 1.10 volt. Then there is a condition. Okay, later on I will tell the condition. Now E shell equals to what? E naught cell minus 0.0591 by n log of product by reactant. So E naught cell just now I have calculated here, I put that value 591 by n. N is number of electron loss or gain. So if you look at this reaction, you will find that 2 electron loss, 2 electron gain, both are equal. So by 2 log of. Now in this case we need product and reactant. Product and reactant are only possible in a cell reaction. So I look at this reaction. These are the product, these are the reactants. So what I write here? I write Zn2 plus Cu solid, and I also write Zn solid Cu2 plus aqueous. But you know solid activity is 1. This is 1. So what we get? We get a formula of E cell equals to 1.10 minus 0.0. This could be written as 0.06. Why? Because it is easy to divide. Log Zn 2 plus divided by Cu 2 plus. If I know the concentration Zn 2 plus and Cu 2 plus, I put those concentration, I'll solve log value, I'll multiply this, I subtract this from here, I get E cell. Understand now? Yes or no? Copied all? Find question. Find E naught shell and E shell for cell equation. Aluminium solid undergoes Al3 plus aqueous with 2 molar concentration. With Cu2 plus aqueous 1 molar concentration to Cu solid, and values are E naught of Al3 plus 2, Al equals to minus 1.66 volt, E naught of Cu2 plus 2, Cu equals to 0.33 volts. You get 3 minutes to do it. You need to find E naught cell and E cell. Once you solve both of them in the chat box, write E naught cell, E cell equals to this, and then hit enter. Okay, your time starts now. Solve fast. E naught cell is 1.9. You need to write, you need to solve both. Your single answer is not sufficient. You solve both. Find E naught cell also. Anyone else has got the answer other than Vineet? Vineet, your answer is 1.98398. Okay, we'll see that answer now. Okay, so first you will write a reaction at anode. Al converts into Al3 plus 3 electron. Then you will write Cu2 plus 2 electron gives rise to Cu. Now if you notice this two are not same, so you are going to multiply by 2 by 3. Then it will become 2Al plus 3 Cu2 plus 6 electron. 6 electron will get cancel, gives rise to 2Al3 plus 3 Cu solid. Right. The next thing what you will do is you will find E naught cell equals to what? E naught of cathode minus E naught of anode. Cathode here will be which one? This is less, this is more. So this is cathode, or according to here also this is cathode, that is anode. So what we get? E naught of cathode, E naught of Cu2 plus 2, Cu minus E naught of Al3 plus Al. What are values I get? 0.33 minus 1.66. So 0.33 plus 1.66 or 1.99 volts. That is easy job. Done. Next is E cell. E cell equals to E naught cell 1.99 minus 0.06 by N. Total electron loss or gain. So not 3, not 2. Because I have multiplied, right? Then it becomes 6. Log of product. So aluminium power 2. Cu 2 power 1. Not power 1, power 3. Okay. Then we write values. 1.99 minus 0.01 log Al3 plus 2 power square Cu2 plus 1 power cube. 1.99 minus 0.01, this is log 4. Log 4 is 2 log 2. So 1.99 minus 0.01 into log 2 is 0.3010. So 1.99 minus, we multiply by 2, we get 0.6020. But then this multiplication is shifted 2 decimal more. 0, 1 decimal, 1 more 0.0. Now I'm going to subtract this from there. So 1.9 here, 8 here, 3 there, 9 there, 8 there. So the answer will become 1.98398 volts. 1.98 is also correct answer. Understood? Now the thing which I wanted to tell you before is this. Condition for spontaneous cell. Condition for spontaneous cell. Now the condition for spontaneous cell is E cell must be positive and delta G must be negative, because delta G naught or delta G equals to minus N F E cell. If E cell is positive, this whole factor is negative. So V cell is positive, delta G is negative. And whenever delta G is negative, the process is spontaneous. Understood? Okay. Done now? Jump. Jump. Okay, so the next point is electrolytic cell. Next point is electrolytic cell. Okay, now we'll see here electrolytic cell. Now what happens is in this cell will have electrical energy which will convert into chemical energy. It means I am going to deal first with electricity, then only I am going to deal with chemical energy. In these type of cases, till now what we were having chemical energy, I am converting into electrical energy. Electrical energy directly potential is coming. But here you will have electrical energy first, so we need to do some rules of electrical energy. Okay. Direct formulas I am going to write. Okay. First is known as Ohm's law, which is known as, what is Ohm's law? So Ohms equals to V equals to IR, where I is resistance whose unit is in ohms, I is in current whose unit is in ampere, V is potential difference whose unit is in volt. Okay, this is it. Then we have one more, P equals to VI, ampere, volt. This is power. Power is watt or joules per second. Okay, and we have one more formula such as I equals to QT, right? Or Q by T. I equals to Q by T. Okay. And this Q equals to NE also. Q equals to NE also. Okay, so this is all about Ohm's law. We'll have V equals to IR or I equals to V by R, that is interpolation we can do. This is P equals to VI, power equals to whatever potential difference into current. I equals to Q by T. Q is a charge. Charge could also be directly related to NE, number of electrons. You are seeing E. You understand the great point here? There is a E, electron, right? Okay, so that there is E. This one. Where is this? Okay. There is E here, then there is a E here. So you understand how current is related. If you want to flow current, you should flow some electrons, and that many electrons are here also. Okay, now come back here only. So, yeah. Okay, now done Ohm's law. Now what happens with after Ohm's law is, then second one is known as resistivity. Second one is known as resistivity. Now resistivity, also known as specific resistance, which is denoted by rho. Okay, so it has a formula of R equals to rho L by A. R equals to rho L by A. So this is resistance, this is specific resistance, this is length, this is area. So what is equals to rho? RA by L. RA by L. So what will be its unit? R is in ohms, area is in centimeter square, length is in centimeters, so we get ohm into centimeters is unit of resistivity. Is unit of resistivity. Then third one is known as specific conductance. Specific conductance or specific conductivity also. This is denoted by K. This is denoted by K. It is reverse of rho. That is specific resistivity. Okay. Specific conductivity or specific conductance is reverse of resistivity. So formula will become same, right? I am not going to write a formula, but I am going to write a unit. Unit will become ohm inverse centimeter inverse. Ohm inverse centimeter inverse. Okay. Then interesting thing happens in this way. When you write K is equals to 1 by rho. Rho formula is that. So L goes to numerator R A. R A. Now what I do, I take R to that side. Then I can write K dot R equals to L by A. Now when you make a cell, its L, length and area will be fixed. That's why it is known as cell constant, which is denoted by G. And then this is another formula. How do I use this formula? We can use like this. K1 R1 equals to K2 R2. One conductance, one resistance. Another conductance, another resistance. Their product will be equals always constant. Understand? All copied? Okay, so after this we have fourth, which is known as conductance. Now the conductance is denoted by C. It is the inverse of resistance. So its units becomes ohm inverse. Sometimes we also call it as mho. Okay. Done? Right. After conductance, now we have chemistry here, which is known as molar conductance. Now the molar conductance is denoted by lambda m. Lambda m. Formula is K into 1000 by molarity. K into 1000 by molarity. K into 1000 by molarity. Okay. Its units are ohm inverse centimeter square mole. Centimeter square mole inverse. What is K? K is conductance. What is M? M is molarity. This is molar conductance. Then we at sixth we have equivalence conductance or equivalent conductance. This is denoted by lambda EQ calculated by K into 1000 by normality. Its unit becomes ohm inverse centimeter square equivalent inverse. This is equivalent conductance. Okay. Once we have equivalent conductance, Then we have seventh as Collard's law. We have Collard's law. Collard's law says what? Lambda equivalent of any compound AB2, or you can say like this, AB2 at infinite is equals to lambda EQ of A2 plus at infinite plus lambda EQ of B minus at infinite. This is for equivalent conductance. But same thing if I want to write for molar conductance of AB2 at infinite, it is equals to what? It is equals to lambda m A2 plus infinite plus 2 times, here the 2 doesn't come in equivalent but 2 comes here, lambda m of B minus at infinite. Okay, two formulas. For equivalent, directly add their cation's conductance and anion conductance. For molar conductance, add them but multiply by the respective number of ions. Okay, so once you know infinity concentration means infinite dilution. Okay, then what I can find out is alpha equals to lambda m by lambda m infinity or lambda EQ by lambda EQ infinity. And what is alpha? Alpha is degree of dissociation. Alpha is degree of dissociation. And if you are able to find alpha, then you remember something which I taught in ionic equilibrium. Ka equals to C alpha square bracket 1 minus alpha. C is concentration, which is molarity. Alpha you have calculated. Then I can find out K also, Ka also. Understood all this? Some full board. And then one by one. Copy fast, all people. Copied? Have you copied it or not? Copied? Can anyone comment if you have copied it all? Okay. Now That is 7th. Then we have 8th. Faraday's law. Then we have Faraday's law. Okay. So Faraday's law says that gram equivalent of anode equals to gram equivalent of cathode equals to IT by F. IT by F equals to number of Faraday. The line which I have written is a combination of Faraday's first law and second law together. If you are able to memorize this line, you can solve any question which comes on Faraday's law. Okay, which comes on Faraday's law. Okay. So, how do I incorporate this? This gram equivalent of anode, it could be what? Generally what happens is cathode undergoes reduction. So here you will have deposition. Here you will have evaluation of gas. So I can write like this. Volume of gas at STP divided by 22.4 liter into N factor. This is moles. This is moles. Gram equivalent equals what? Moles into N factor. This is moles formula into N factor equals to, I can write amount by atomic mass into N factor equals to IT by F. That's how we can utilize it. So what is F? 1F equals to 96,500 coulomb. This always must be in second, and this always must be in ampere. This must be in coulombs. Question. Number of Faraday required to generate 1 mole of magnesium. 1 mole of magnesium from MgCl2 is, options are 1, 2, 3, 4. Solve this question. So we'll find out, we'll try to use this line, okay? What they are asking, number of Faraday. So this formula, number of Faraday equals to this one only, gram equivalent of anode or cathode. You need to understand cathode or anode. So 1 mole of magnesium from MgCl2 In MgCl2, magnesium is in 2 plus. To convert Mg, it should absorb 2 electron. Then this is a reduction. And if it is a reduction, it will happen at cathode. So I will use cathode. Moles into N factor equals to number of Faraday. I can equate this and this. These all four are equal. You can take any two to make it equal. Okay. So moles, how many moles I want to make? 1. What is N factor? 2 to 0. So 2 equals to number of Faraday. So the answer is number of Faraday is equals to 2. 2F. Right? Understand? Okay, can I give one more question to solve? Do you want to solve one more question? Question. Number of Faraday required to liberate 8 gram of hydrogen is. Solve. Are you people solving? Okay, we'll solve this question. Liberate 8 gram of hydrogen. So now to liberate 8 gram of hydrogen, we'll do from H plus only to form H2. So 2H, so I'm going to put 2H, then plus 2 electrons. Understand? Plus 2 electron. Okay. So now, number of Faraday is equals to moles into N factor. Moles 8 by H2 2 into N factor of H2 2 electrons, so 2, so 8 Faraday. Done? Okay, so now
Assignment.
that's all for today class. First chapter is electrochemistry. Okay. Second chapter here is again same way. The way last class I taught na, you read NCERT, you solve exercise. If you're not able to get, ask me doubts in the next class. Polymer. Third chapter is biomolecules. Fourth chapter is chemistry in everyday's life. So these 4 chapters, jump. First chapter electrochemistry which I taught, okay? These 3 chapters you read from NCERT, try to memorize them. In polymer chapter you will have monomers, remember? So you have to memorize monomers. Try to make a table. Then addition polymerization and condensation polymerization. 2 polymerizations are there. Biomolecules, there are carbohydrate, glucose, fructose structures. Chemistry in everyday life, this is very, very important chapter for day-to-day perspective also. Okay, so try to read these 3 in your NCERT book. You will get exercise in the groups. And this exercise also you will get, try to solve all 4 chapters. We will discuss in the next class. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. We will continue in the next class. Try to solve all the homework. Okay? Thank you all.